In the year 2135, the city of Elysium stood tall as a testament to human ingenuity and technological advancement. Its sleek, towering skyscrapers pierced the sky, while its streets hummed with the movement of autonomous vehicles and bustling crowds. People went about their lives with an eerie calmness, as if a veil of tranquility had been cast over the city. At the heart of Elysium's utopian facade was the Emotion Regulation Authority, ERA, the government body responsible for maintaining societal harmony. They achieved this by requiring every citizen to have an emotion regulation device, known as the Elysium chip, implanted at birth. The chip kept their emotions in check, preventing conflict, crime, and anything else that could disrupt the delicate balance of their society. Amara, a young woman in her early 20s, had always felt a gnawing sense of unease about the world she lived in. She couldn't put her finger on it, but she knew something was amiss. She had never experienced strong emotions like anger, sadness, or even passionate love, and she often wondered what it would be like to feel something real. Amara's parents, like everyone else in Elysium, were content with their lives. They were successful professionals who believed wholeheartedly in the ERA's mission. Amara, however, couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be more to life than the sanitized existence she was living. One evening, Amara found herself wandering the streets of Elysium, her thoughts consumed by the monotony of her life. She ventured further from her home than she had ever been before, eventually stumbling upon an old, abandoned building hidden away in a forgotten corner of the city. Intrigued, she decided to explore the decaying structure, her curiosity piqued by the mysterious air that surrounded it. As Amara stepped inside, she felt a chill run down her spine. The building's crumbling walls and dusty floors seemed to whisper secrets of a time long past. She felt an inexplicable connection to the place, as if it was beckoning her to uncover its hidden truths. Little did she know that her discovery would set her on a path that would forever change her life and the fate of Elysium. As Amara explored the dark, musty halls of the abandoned building, she stumbled upon a hidden room tucked away behind a decaying bookshelf. With a deep breath and a growing sense of anticipation, she pushed open the creaky door and stepped inside. The room was small and dimly lit, filled with dusty books and ancient technology that seemed to predate the era of Elysium. Amara's eyes widened as she discovered a trove of information about the history of the city and the origins of the emotion regulation devices. She learned that the Elysium chips had been introduced as a means to eliminate the pain and suffering that had once plagued humanity. However, the devices had an unintended side effect: they robbed people of their capacity to feel genuine emotions. As Amara delved deeper into her research, she discovered that there were others like her, people who questioned the true purpose of the Elysium chips and sought to free themselves from the shackles of emotional suppression. They called themselves the Empathia Collective, a secret underground movement that had long been silenced by the government. In her heart, Amara knew that she had to join them. She could no longer bear the thought of living a life devoid of true emotions. After days of research and preparation, she finally found a way to deactivate her Elysium chip. The moment she did, a rush of emotions flooded through her: fear, joy, sadness, and anger, all blending together in an overwhelming, liberating wave. Now that she had experienced real emotions, Amara was more determined than ever to help others do the same. She began to secretly meet with the remnants of the Empathia Collective, learning from them and sharing her newfound knowledge. Together, they hatched a plan to bring emotional freedom to the people of Elysium. Amara knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but she embraced the challenge with a newfound sense of purpose. For the first time in her life, she felt truly alive, and she was ready to fight for the right to feel. Little did she know that her actions would soon set off a chain of events that would change the course of history. The Empathia Collective, composed of rebels from different walks of life, worked tirelessly to spread their message of emotional freedom. They held clandestine meetings in hidden corners of the city, where they shared their knowledge of disabling the Elysium chips and helped others to regain their emotions. As more and more people joined their cause, the government's iron grip on the citizens of Elysium began to loosen. Amara, now an integral part of the movement, had become an expert at deactivating the emotion regulation devices. Her determination and bravery inspired those around her, and she quickly gained the trust and respect of her fellow rebels. As the Empathia collective grew in strength and number, Amara felt a deep sense of camaraderie and purpose. The once quiet girl had found her voice, and she was not afraid to use it. Meanwhile, the government had taken notice of the growing unrest among the citizens. Alarmed by the rise of the Empathia collective, they tightened security measures and launched a propaganda campaign to discredit the rebels. Officials warned of the dangers of unregulated emotions, painting a picture of chaos and destruction that would ensue if the citizens were allowed to feel freely. Despite the government's efforts, the Empathia collective continued to gain momentum. The rebels knew that they needed to act quickly, while they still had the element of surprise. They devised a plan to infiltrate the headquarters of the Elysium chip manufacturing facility and expose the truth behind the devices to the public. Under the cover of darkness, Amara and a small team of rebels embarked on their most daring mission yet. They navigated the maze of security systems and surveillance cameras, relying on their wits and determination to evade capture. As they crept through the sterile halls of the facility, Amara couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. The future of Elysium, and the emotional freedom of its citizens, rested on their success. The team made their way to the heart of the facility, where the Elysium chips were produced and programmed. There, they discovered a trove of incriminating evidence that revealed the government's true intentions. Not only did the chips regulate emotions, but they also collected data on every citizen's thoughts and feelings, allowing the government to exert even greater control over the population. Armed with this shocking information, Amara and her team raced against the clock to transmit the evidence to their fellow rebels and sympathetic media outlets. Meanwhile, other members of the Empathia collective worked to dismantle the facility's production lines and sabotage the chip programming software. As word of the government's deceit spread throughout Elysium, citizens reacted with outrage and disbelief. Feelings of anger and betrayal surged through the population, fueling a groundswell of support for the Empathia collective's cause. Protests erupted in the streets, and the once orderly city began to crack under the pressure of the emotional turmoil. In response to the chaos, the government declared a state of emergency and sent armed forces to suppress the uprising. But the people of Elysium, now united in their quest for emotional freedom, refused to back down. Battles raged in the city, as citizens and rebels alike fought against the oppressive regime. Amidst the chaos, Amara emerged as a symbol of hope and inspiration. Her courageous actions had set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of Elysium's history, and her steadfast belief in the power of authentic emotions emboldened others to stand up for their rights. As the struggle intensified, Amara and the Empathia collective continued to rally support, forging alliances with sympathetic factions within the government and military. Despite the overwhelming odds against them, the rebels remained steadfast in their pursuit of justice and emotional freedom. With the tide of the battle turning in their favor, Amara and the Empathia collective knew they had to strike a decisive blow against the government to ensure the liberation of Elysium's citizens. They devised a plan to infiltrate the central control hub for the emotion regulation network, intending to disable the system and free the people from the grip of the Elysium chips. Working alongside trusted allies within the government, the rebels launched a coordinated assault on the heavily fortified control hub. Despite facing formidable resistance from the government's security forces, Amara's unwavering resolve and the combined might of the Empathia collective propelled them forward. In the midst of the conflict, Amara faced her greatest challenge yet. She came face to face with the mastermind behind the emotion regulation program. A high-ranking government official with a twisted vision for the future of Elysium, he sought to eliminate any threat to his power by controlling the very hearts and minds of his subjects. In a tense confrontation, Amara was forced to confront her own fears and doubts, as the official tried to manipulate her emotions and turn her against her cause. But Amara's newfound emotional strength and clarity proved too powerful to be swayed. She resisted the official's manipulations and, in a dramatic turn of events, managed to expose his true intentions to the world. The revelation of his treachery further fueled the fire of the rebellion, and the people's resolve to reclaim their emotional freedom grew stronger. With the central control hub now within reach, Amara and her team worked tirelessly to disable the emotion regulation network. As they severed the connections between the Elysium chips and the central system, they could feel the collective emotional awakening of the city's population. As the citizens of Elysium began to experience the full spectrum of emotions for the first time in their lives, an overwhelming sense of unity and determination washed over them. They came to realize that the government's control over their emotions had robbed them of their true selves, and they were unwilling to return to a life of emotional imprisonment. Amara and the Empathia Collective knew they had to harness this newfound energy to ensure a lasting victory against the oppressive regime. Rallying the people to their cause, they led a massive uprising that swept through the city like a tidal wave. With the government's security forces now outnumbered and overwhelmed, the people's march toward freedom seemed unstoppable. However, the government was not ready to relinquish its grip on power. Desperate to maintain control, they deployed a powerful and deadly secret weapon, a last-ditch effort to quell the rebellion and preserve their rule. But the resilient people of Elysium, empowered by their newfound emotional freedom, refused to back down in the face of this threat. Led by Amara, the Empathia Collective confronted the government's secret weapon head-on. The battle that ensued was fierce and brutal, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. But in the end, the collective's unwavering determination and the unity of the people proved too powerful for the government's weapon to withstand. As the weapon lay defeated, the people of Elysium erupted into cheers and celebration. They had overcome the government's final attempt to subdue them, and the path to true freedom was now wide open. With renewed hope, they pressed onward, determined to bring down the regime and usher in a new era of emotional liberty for all. In the days that followed, the revolution continued to gain momentum as more citizens joined the cause, united by their shared goal of emotional freedom. The government, now weakened and facing widespread dissent, struggled to maintain its hold over the city. Amara and the Empathia Collective tirelessly worked to dismantle the regime's oppressive infrastructure. They infiltrated government buildings, shutting down the factories that produced the emotion regulation devices and freeing those who had been imprisoned for defying the government's control. As they progressed, they discovered the horrifying truth about the origin of the emotion regulation technology. It had been developed through years of unethical experimentation on unwilling subjects. Fueled by outrage and a burning desire for justice, the people of Elysium rallied behind Amara and the collective, determined to end the government's cruel reign once and for all. As the final battle loomed on the horizon, the people of Elysium prepared themselves for the struggle ahead, knowing that the outcome would determine the fate of their society. The climactic battle between the government's remaining forces and the Empathia Collective was a testament to the power of human emotion. The collective, united by their shared love, anger, and determination, fought with a ferocity that the government's emotionless soldiers could not match. The battle raged on for hours, but eventually, the government's forces were defeated, and Elysium was finally free. In the aftermath of the revolution, the people of Elysium began the difficult task of rebuilding their society. The emotion regulation devices were destroyed, and the once oppressive regime was replaced with a democratic government that valued emotional freedom and personal expression. The Empathia Collective, having played a crucial role in the revolution, continued to serve as a symbol of hope and resilience for the people of Elysium. As Elysium entered a new era of emotional freedom, Amara and her fellow members of the Empathia Collective focused on helping the people of the city to heal and rediscover their authentic selves. They organized workshops and support groups, teaching citizens how to navigate the complex and unfamiliar world of emotions they now experienced. Amara, now a prominent figure in Elysium's rebirth, found solace in the knowledge that her actions had helped to create a brighter future for her city. She continued to lead the Empathia Collective, using her newfound emotional wisdom to guide her decisions and inspire others. The collective became a bastion of hope, providing a space for citizens to explore their emotions without fear of judgment or repression. In time, Elysium transformed from a cold, dystopian city into a thriving, emotionally rich society where people embraced their unique emotional experiences. Art, music, and literature flourished as citizens expressed themselves freely and openly, celebrating the diverse range of emotions that made them human. As for Amara, she found a sense of inner peace and purpose that had eluded her for most of her life. Through her experiences with the Empathia Collective, she had not only liberated her own emotions but had also played a crucial role in liberating an entire society from the chains of emotional suppression. With the love and support of her friends in the collective, Amara continued to grow and learn, becoming a living embodiment of the values she had fought so hard to restore to her city. As the sun set on another day in the now thriving city of Elysium, Amara stood on a rooftop overlooking the cityscape, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. She knew that the journey to emotional freedom had not been an easy one, but the transformation she saw around her was a testament to the power of love, courage, and resilience. In this moment, she knew that the spirit of the Empathia Collective would live on for generations to come, a beacon of hope and a reminder of the indomitable human spirit.